At least 21 people have been killed and several others injured after a fire tore through a multi-story building in India's capital Delhi. Police say many of the victims were foreign nationals from South Asian countries who had travelled to India for medical treatment or to accompany relatives undergoing care, local media reported.
8 years after a British Prime Minister and Foreign Secretary made back-to-back visits to China, the Keir Starmer government is once again trying to reset relations with Beijing after a long period of what Starmer had in January described as an ice age in relations. Prime Minister Starmer went to Beijing in January, and Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper is currently visiting on a 3-day trip. As the United Kingdom and China try to revive economic and diplomatic ties, despite lingering differences over security, human rights and the Russian war on Ukraine. Former PM Theresa May and her Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt made similar visits to China soon after each other in 2018. At least 21 people have been killed in a fire that ripped through a hotel in New Delhi, police said, in one of the deadliest blazes in the Indian capital in years. The fire broke out on Wednesday in a building in the Malviya Nagar neighbourhood in the southern part of the city, which has a restaurant on the ground floor and a hotel above. The predominantly residential area is densely populated and popular with students and young professionals.
Voters in 6 U.S. states headed to the polls on Tuesday for a series of primary elections, which will help shape the political landscape before November's midterms. The contests included California's race to replace term-limited Governor Gavin Newsom, Iowa's open Senate and governor races, New Jersey's closely watched House battleground, and key statewide contests in New Mexico, Montana and South Dakota.
A United States artist who painted a mural on a building has filed a 25-metre lawsuit against FIFA and other defendants, saying they illegally painted over his work to promote the city's World Cup 2026 matches. Robert Weiland, who generally goes by only his last name, says he hand-painted the sprawling mural that covered roughly 580 cubic meters, 17,000 feet, across 2 walls of a building. Fusion startup Exima Energy on Wednesday flipped the switch on its Phoenix laser system, which the company says is the largest privately owned example in the world. Exima's approach to fusion power is modelled after the National Ignition Facility, NIEF, which proved in December 2022 that a controlled fusion reaction could release more power than required to ignite it.
Kiwi star batter Kane Williamson is set to make what is expected to be his final appearance at Lord's when New Zealand face England in the opening test on Thursday. The 35-year-old will earn his 110th test cap in the match. Speaking at a press conference on Tuesday, Kane Williamson paused briefly when asked about the significance of the occasion before responding with humour.
The Punjab government has expanded its flagship Kisan Card programme, issuing cards to more than 832,000 farmers across the province to strengthen agricultural financing and improve access to farming inputs. Farmers have collectively used agricultural loans worth Rs 25.4 billion through the initiative, while they purchased inputs worth over 100 billion during the wheat cultivation season.
The Punjab government has expanded its healthcare outreach beyond provincial boundaries by sending 6 Clinic on Wheels mobile health units to Gilgit-Baltistan as a gift, aiming to improve access to medical services in remote areas. Provincial Health Minister Khawaja Imran Nazir said 6 fully equipped mobile clinics, stocked with essential medicines, dispatched to the northern region to support primary healthcare delivery.
The Pakistan Meteorological Department has forecast further heavy rainfall and hailstorms in several parts of the country over the coming days, warning of unstable weather conditions across multiple regions. According to the department, parts of Punjab are expected to experience heavy rain and hail in some areas today.
The National Accountability Bureau, NAB, has handed over recovered assets worth more than 6 to the government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in the first phase of asset recovery, linked to one of Pakistan's largest financial fraud investigations involving the alleged misappropriation of public funds in Upper Khorasan. At a ceremony held in Pej, formerly Devabad, Chairman Natsakar formally transferred the recovered assets to the provincial chief secretary.
Britain's competition watchdog said on Wednesday that it had ordered Google to allow website owners in the United Kingdom to opt out of having their content used by the US technology giant's AI search. The Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, called the change a world first after it had proposed the measure in January. In the crowded streets of Karachi's old city neighbourhood of Liari, football has always been more than a game. It lives in the narrow alleys, on dusty grounds and through evening street matches in which children grow up chasing a ball long before they learn to chase success. For decades, however, that dream largely belonged to boys. Now 5 young girls from Liari are rewriting that story.
Severe tropical storm Jangmi ripped across Japan on Wednesday, with fierce winds and torrential rain disrupting transport and businesses and knocking out power for tens of thousands of homes. The storm's center lay about 150 kilometers south of Tokyo as of early Wednesday afternoon, moving northeast with maximum sustained winds of up to 25 meters per second, Japan's meteorological agency said.
Clashes in the Gulf region have escalated, with diplomacy showing little progress, as by Iran, while the US military announces self-defense strikes on Iran's Qasem Island. According to Kuwait state news agency Kuna, the country's international airport was hit by drones and missiles on Wednesday morning, causing injuries, severe damage to a number of airport facilities, and thus flight suspensions and diversions.
At least 21 people have been killed and several others injured after a fire swept through a multi-story building in a crowded neighborhood of the Indian capital, New Delhi. Police said the blaze broke out on Wednesday in the Malviya Nagar area in the city's south, in a building that housed a restaurant on the ground floor and a hotel above.
The Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, PTA, has issued a fresh warning about the growing threat of phishing attacks and online fraud, highlighting the methods cybercriminals use to steal personal and financial information from unsuspecting individuals. According to the authority, fraudsters are increasingly using fake emails, messages, phone calls, and fraudulent job advertisements to target internet users across the country.
The Ignite National Technology Fund has appointed Mohammed Bilal Abbasi as its new Chief Executive Officer for a 3-year term, ending a prolonged period during which the CEO post at Ignite had been unfilled since January 17, 2024, when the tenure of the previous CEO ended. Following the vacancy, General Manager Corporate Affairs Adil Ijaz Sheikh was assigned additional responsibilities as acting CEO.
Capital Development Authority, CDA, has approved 2 joint ventures for the next stage of the bidding process for Islamabad's proposed convention, expo and exhibition centre. The project is planned for Malpur near the Barakahu bypass and is among the CDA's major infrastructure initiatives. According to sources, a joint venture comprising China Construction, Third Engineering Bureau, Kasi Builders and Developers Private Limited and Xerox International, and another consisting of China Railway 6th Group, Usmani International Associates and Osmani and Company, were declared technically responsive following the evaluation process.
ASUS has announced the 2026 TUF Gaming 16, a new 16-inch gaming laptop with updated Intel and NVIDIA hardware. The 2026 ASUS TUF Gaming 16 can be configured with up to an Intel Core i7 4650HX processor. The chip has 8 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores, and a maximum boost clock of 5.2 GHz.
Lucknowi Kebab Handi, ingredients K&N's Kebab Tikki, 2830 kebabs.
Indian authorities have removed top education bosses from the exam board after marking failures in tests taken by nearly 2 million high school students sparked outrage and calls for protests. The controversy, after the board acknowledged cybersecurity vulnerabilities in a digital marking system, is the latest to rock India's examination system, sparking mounting criticism of the Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE. At least 21 people were killed when a fire ripped through a hotel in New Delhi on Wednesday, police said, in one of the deadliest places in the Indian capital in recent years. Building fires are common in India due to a lack of firefighting equipment and routine disregard for safety regulations.
Rawalpindi. In addition to 6,000 Punjab police personnel, 150 police personnel from the Security Division of Islamabad Capital Territory, ICT Police, have been assigned for Gilgit-Baltistan GB election duty, with a total of 2,000 personnel expected to be dispatched to the region. General elections in GB are scheduled for Sunday, with election campaigns already underway by major political parties.
At least 7 people have been killed after a drone hit a bus in the Russian-controlled Donetsk region of Ukraine as both sides escalate attacks. The Russian-installed head of the region, Denis Pushilin, said on the Telegram messaging platform on Wednesday that the bus was travelling between Moscow and Simferopol in Crimea.
Brazil midfielder Casemiro believes being a step behind other World Cup 2026 favourites Flute could work in the team's favour when the tournament kicks off in North America next week. Brazil are the only team to have played in every World Cup and are also the tournament's most decorated side with 5 titles.
US broadcaster CBS has fired Scott Pelley, a longtime correspondent for its 60 Minutes programme, after he reportedly said editor-in-chief Barry Weiss was murdering the show and accused its new producer of having slender qualifications for the job. The firing on Tuesday deepened the turmoil at the most influential TV news programme in the US, days after a leadership overhaul.
Muhammad Ali's legacy extends far beyond his world titles and Olympic gold, his widow has said, as his hometown prepares to mark 10 years since the boxing icon Day of Compassion. Ali, who died on June 3, 2016, after a long battle with Parkinson's disease, is being honoured this week at the Muhammad Ali Centre in Louisville, which is encouraging people worldwide to mark Wednesday's anniversary with acts of service and care.
Italy will provide employment opportunities to 10,500 Pakistani workers over the next 3 years under a labour mobility agreement. Italy's ambassador to Pakistan, Marilina Armelian, announced during celebrations marking Italy Day in Islamabad. Speaking at the event on Tuesday, the ambassador reaffirmed Italy's commitment to strengthening cooperation with Pakistan in areas including labour mobility, education, diplomacy and economic engagement.
Former Pakistan fast bowler Junaid Khan has criticised the team's approach after their defeat in the second ODI against Australia at the Gaddafi Stadium, saying the batting unit struggled on spin-friendly conditions that were originally prepared to trouble the visitors. Junaid shared his views on social media platform X, where he suggested that Pakistan's plan to prepare a turning wicket to challenge Australia ended up backfiring.